Going on, fight fans? I am so ready for UFC 264 this weekend. I'm hyped because we have some absolute firecrackers of fights coming up. We have Conor McGregor making his turn against Dustin Diamond Poirier. We have Greg Hardy fighting Tuivasa. We have Dricus Du Plessis fighting. We have Niko Price fighting against Michelle Pereira. We have Ilia Topuria putting his perfect record on the line, and much more on this card. A lot of really high volume fights, a lot of fights that should end by finish, and overall a lot of good targets for DFS on Draftkings as well. On top of the slugfest, we have a lot of big contests for Draftkings. Anytime we have one of these headliner cards, 265 is going to have some big contests as well. We don't have a Millie Maker contest, but we do have a $1 million contest this week. So I'm hopping in there trying to win a big contest this week for the UFC. My goal with this video is going to be to give you my top 6 picks for the GPPs this weekend. We're going to be using statistical analysis as always and my data-based approach to help identify some of the best plays on this slate. We're going to be considering fighting style, the gambling odds from Vegas. They're pretty good at what they do, setting those gambling lines, career trajectory, wear and tear, ownership, and a whole lot more to help identify those plays. I use a lot of mathematics, a lot of custom modeling that I have learned as an electrical engineer throughout the years. A lot of it is visualization based to help you guys make the best DFS lineups and to give you guys the best information to do so. I don't just cover the UFC, I also cover the PGA Tour, NFL, NBA, and so much more. So if you're looking for fact-based analysis, for a data-based approach, make sure to check out my channel for all that content. I also have a Patreon page I just launched for all my UFC projections where you can get my exact thoughts about every single fighter in the field. I'm going to have my projected points, ownership rankings, winning percentage. We're going to have updated game theory notes on there as well, and even more to come. So make sure to get in there. It's only $1 for the whole month. It's a ton of value. I'm going to be updating it, making it better and better each week as well. So hop in while it's still cheap. And without further delay, let's hop into the top 6 picks for this weekend's card. Hopping into my fighters to target. At number 6, we have Niko Price with a 14-4 MMA record. He's going to be fighting Michelle Pereira, who is a -160 favorite against Niko Price. So what I like about Niko Price is his price. He comes in at $7,300, and he's somebody who is a very exciting fighter to watch, somebody who gets a ton of finishes, and he's going to get the same exact kind of energy back from Pereira. So if we take a look at his finish rate, he finishes 92% of his fights by stoppage. That is an elite level, especially when you consider how many fights that he has in the UFC, and he's a very aggressive fighter as well. He's somebody who typically expends a lot of his energy in rounds 1 and 2. He doesn't typically go to decision very often, and he usually loses when he goes to decision because of that. If we look at the other fighter across the octagon from him, Michelle is very, very similar. He's somebody who's a very high output fighter. Typically by round 3, he's very sluggish. So I thought it was very good by the UFC and their matchmakers to set up this fight. I think that it should be much closer to a coin toss. It should be much closer to a +100 on each side. But you're getting a lot of inherent value with Niko Price's price. Pardon the pun there. I know it's horrible. Again, if Price had a little bit more confidence from the odds makers, let's say that he was the favorite, if he was the -160 in this mark, I would have a ton of confidence in him. A 92% finish rate is elite. That's exactly what you're looking for on DFS, where you get so many bonus points for finishing people early. You get the 30-second bonus that we see every once in a while. That makes a huge difference. And he's a real threat to put that up this week. At number 5, we have Ilia Topuria coming in with a 10-0 MMA record, that perfect record I foreshadowed before. And he's going against Ryan Hall, who is a +190 underdog. So Topuria is one of the higher priced fighters on this slate. He comes in at $9,100, and he's putting his perfect record on the line, and I think that he's going to have a very easy contest here against Hall. So no offense to Ryan Hall, he's more of a striker, but Topuria is one of the best grapplers and wrestlers and grapplers in the entire world. On top of having a perfect record, he's finished 90% of his fights, 70% of those by submission, 20% of them by stoppage, and not only is he a threat for a finish, he's a very high scorer even in his decision wins. He's somebody who averages 7 takedowns per 15 minutes in the octagon. Now, he usually doesn't see 15 minutes in any of his MMA fights, but that's an insane rate in terms of takedowns. And even if he's not able to finish Ryan Hall, Ryan Hall is a seasoned veteran, somebody who has a lot of fights under his belt. he's still going to put up a good score. Ever since DraftKings changed their MMA scoring and made it a lot more about control time, de-emphasized striking a little bit with the way that they set up their scoring. People that have a lot of control time, do a lot of advancing, score a lot of takedowns, are really the way to go, especially for decisions. So I like his floor there with the decision win, and I also like his upside. Again, he's a 90% finisher, so I do expect him to get the finish and pay off the $9,100 price tag. At number 4, we have Greg Hardy, a 7-3 MMA newcomer, who is going to be fighting Tai Tuivasa, a -130 favorite, and he comes in at a nice price tag of $7,800 as a result. So Greg Hardy, he's had a few disappointing fights of late. Obviously, lost his last time out. That was against Tybura. Obviously, Tybura is a seasoned heavyweight, somebody who is a little bit of a gatekeeper at this point in his career. Maybe he's on an upward trajectory after beating Hardy, but I did expect that to happen last time out. Tuivasa is a little bit of a better matchup for Greg Hardy. Tuivasa is extremely aggressive. He hardly, if ever, grapples at all. I mean, we've never even seen him be takedown or have a takedown in the UFC. So yeah, he just doesn't wrestle. He doesn't grapple at all. And again, Greg Hardy, that's where he struggles. We've seen Greg Hardy get taken down, use a lot of energy getting up over and over and over again. And not only is that bad on the judges' scorecards, obviously letting your opponent score takedowns, but it also drains your energy. Against Tuivasa, that's not going to be an issue. Greg Hardy has very, very powerful hands, and I expect one of them to get knocked out cold. And again, I'd rather take the cheaper side anytime that you're deciding between a kind of a coin flip or a puncher's chance or something like that. And that's really why I like Greg Hardy this week. You know, if he scores a knockout in the first or second round, he's going to be an optimal play at the $7,800 price tag. And as a result, I think he's very good value down the board, especially for the GPP format where you're looking for a ceiling performance. At number 3, we have Dricus Du Plessis, putting his 15-2 record on the line against Trevin Giles, who is a -110 favorite. So Dricus Du Plessis started the week as the favorite. It is now actually swayed towards Giles. And as a result, he's a little bit overpriced at $8,200, which I actually think is going to be advantage for us here on DraftKings. Again, I feel like a broken record saying this. This is going to be a high-energy fight with a lot of volume. You have Dricus Du Plessis, who's another finisher. You have Trevin Giles, who's another guy who's on an upward trajectory for his career. But Du Plessis is just in another realm in terms of his game. He has a 100% finish rate. He finishes 40% of them by knockout and 60% of them by submission. So he's an absolute beast when it comes to scoring. His first time out, he scored a first-minute knockout. And while Trevin Giles is obviously not a slouch by any means, especially on the ground, Du Plessis is a submission artist. So Trevin Giles is not going to want anything to do with him on the ground. Trevin Giles is decent on his feet, but we saw what happens when you fight Du Plessis on the feet the last time out. He knocked his opponent out in less than a minute, and I expect a very similar result this time out, even against a better opponent. I will admit that. He's a much better opponent, but I expect his talent to shine through, especially on a main card like this. At number 2, we have Sean O'Malley, who is 13-0. Just kidding. You lost. Sorry, Sean O'Malley, you lost. You're 13-1. He's going to be fighting Chris Moutinho, who is coming in on short notice and is a plus 550 underdog. Massive underdog, biggest underdog on the entire slate. And as a result, Sean O'Malley is the highest priced fighter on the slate. Makes perfect sense. He is at $9,500, and he absolutely is going to finish Chris Moutinho. He's going to do it in spectacular fashion. Thomas Almeida was who he knocked out his last fight. Thomas Almeida has an iron chin, had never been knocked down or even knocked out to that point in his 30-fight career. And this time he gets a newcomer, somebody who only has 5 fights in his MMA career. He's more of a wrestler, is coming over from one of the smaller organizations. It really doesn't seem fair. Last time out against Almeida, Sean O'Malley literally let Almeida get back up because he didn't want to knock him out with ground and pound. He's like, get back up. And he kept letting him get back up until he got a walk-off knockout. Obviously, he's in another league of his own. Now he's fighting somebody who's not even a UFC fighter. I legitimately feel bad for Moutinho. So he'll be in every lineup of mine, Sean O'Malley. He's going to knock him out probably the first round. If we go to my number 1 pick for this week, it is Conor McGregor. I'm buying back in on Conor McGregor at 22-5 for his career right now for his record. He's fighting Dustin Poirier, who is the -125 favorite. Again, 99% of that has to do with what happened last time out. They are the same price, both $8,100. But on top of being one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, Conor McGregor, he is the best fantasy MMA fighter of all time. He's averages 93.9 fantasy points, and that's even after they changed the scoring. So I went back, changed all of his scoring to reflect the new type of scoring that they have, and he is still the best fighter in UFC history. He wins by a knockout at an astonishing rate of 86%, and he scores 1.81 knockdowns per 18 minutes, which is also a UFC record. So even if he's not able to finish Poirier, he's going to have a high volume output, likely put up to 200, maybe even 250 significant strikes together over the 5 rounds. He's likely to score at least a couple knockdowns. Conor McGregor has that touch for putting people off balance. And obviously, even if he slips, he's going to be getting that 15-point bonus each time. So I love him in the fantasy format. Even if he doesn't win this fight, I think he's going to put up enough points to pay off the $8,100. I think that's the best part about it. I'm not afraid of playing both of them together in the same lineup because I do think Poirier is also a very high volume fighter who could also put up 70 or 80 points in a loss. But McGregor's definitely the side I think that wins. He came out a little bit sluggish last time out. He was a little bit flat-footed. Dustin Poirier obviously saw that. Being an American top team member, they specialize in chopping people's feet. So when you see someone who's flat-footed, it was just instinct for him. It was a very, very easy win for him. McGregor's not going to come out with that same strategy. He's typically someone who's very free-flowing, somebody who doesn't stand around too often. And to be honest with you, I was very surprised with that last fight. I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. McGregor looked just a little bit lethargic. Maybe he had a bad weight cut. We'll never know. He won't admit that to us. So I expect him to have a really good bounce-back performance. You can see the odds makers still have him at plus 100, so they're not willing to lay any room there for you to make extra money. And I think that should be a good sign for his career and what they think about him. That's all I've got for this week's UFC preview, guys. Let me know in the comments who your favorite play for UFC DFS this week is for a chance to earn my Patreon for free. That is where I have my UFC projections now. I also have my ownership, winning percentage, as well as my game theory notes. So if you don't end up winning it with your comment, you can go ahead and buy it. It's only $1. It's a ton of value for the month. Again, I'm making it super cheap as I can to let you guys get in, see what I have to offer. Obviously, it's going to go up in price at some point, but right now it's great value. You have no reason not to join. So as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the content. It really helps me out with growing my channel. It also makes sure that you guys can see my content as soon as I post it. So it's a win-win. Make sure you go and hit that button right now. Good luck with your DFS lineups this week. Let's win some cash. One of us needs to take down that big 200K contest. Good luck, and I'll see you guys for next week's event.